Let's start.
Hello people, welcome to this week's live video. So just before we get started, we want you to know that these videos are here to help you. You don't necessarily have to come on all the time and join us literally a live video, but they're going to be so handy for you to watch back and to listen to, either when you're out getting some steps in or maybe driving to work, something like that. But what we do want to say is, if you are struggling to find a video, like if we ever say to you, or maybe watch the video on the topic of protein this week and you go into Mighty Networks and you don't really know how to find it, you have to click on the live videos. And then from there, you have to make sure you press join. So you're joining up to the live videos. And then from there, we've got a backlog of so many videos that are going to be so handy for you all. So when we record this video today and we send it on a link on WhatsApp, you can press the link and you can also watch the video. But if you go into Mighty Networks and, well, if you're watching this, you've got the video regardless anyway. But if you are wanting to watch any of the other live videos that we've recorded, you just need to make sure that when you go into Mighty Networks, you press join videos. And then from there, like I said, we've got a backlog of the videos.
And that's the same for the educational workshop at the side as well. So there's the educational videos and then there's the live videos as well. Both of those sections, I cannot explain to you how much value are in those two sections. Like it's no coincidence. The clients that get the most effective life-changing results dig deep into all of those videos. And like Jordan said, like I absolutely love to listen to things like this when I am like driving or when I am on the treadmill walking, get my steps in, go for a walk. And if you can get to the habit of listening to things like this, just like a couple times a week, it is literally going to just stay so fresh in your brain. And it's just going to make you so focused and things as well. And it can, honestly, things like this are just the biggest game changer. So yeah, keep on top of them, basically. Yeah. So do you want me to dig in?
Let's get into
today's workshop. So we're going to be digging into MyFitnessPal and tracking your calories. And so yeah, let's dig in. We're going to do a screen share. So let me just bear with me a sec. Let me get it up. Hopefully you can see this, my little presentation. So yeah, today's MyFitnessPal and tracking workshop. So this is what we're going to be going through today. So we're going to be going through what actually is tracking and MyFitnessPal. So what even is it? How can you use tracking as a tool to get you insane results? How to actually set up MyFitnessPal. So quite basic, we're stripping it back to the basics, how to correctly set it up, and the importance of planning and structure to your day with MyFitnessPal and tracking, how to create and add your base meals into MyFitnessPal, which is going to be a really big time saver for you, how to create recipes and track those and like batch cook meals into MyFitnessPal, which if you are somebody who cooks for like more than one person, like a family, or even if you do like to batch cook for yourself, again, that's going to be a game changer. How to actually add foods into MyFitnessPal. In fact, I go into I think it's 6 common MyFitnessPal tracking mistakes, which are like the most common questions and mistakes that crop up with tracking in MyFitnessPal. So we'll dig into those closer to the end, but those are really important. And yeah, some of you will already know this, but with that being said, it's always good to have a little bit of a refresh and, become tracking pros. So that is the name of the game today. So let's dig in. Look at Cherie looking sexy there.
Yeah, she is.
I've got to put her there. So what actually is tracking and MyFitnessPal? So tracking refers to tracking your calorie intake. So that's your calories, your macros, and your nutrients, basically. And then MyFitnessPal is going to be the app that you're more than likely going to use to help you do this. So there's loads of different apps out there. There's MyFitnessPal. There's one called LifeSum that I did used to use. That was quite good.
I think there's quite a lot of tracking apps.
There's Carbon. That was another one that I used to use. Yeah, there's loads of them, but MyFitnessPal is like the most common one, really. So that's why we just sort of use this and refer to this one. So why do we track? So tracking is used for the following points. So number 1, to make sure that you're staying within a specific calorie range so that you can achieve X body results, whether it's, you know, gaining weight, losing weight. Number 2, to make sure that you're not overeating or undereating. Number 3, to make sure that you are hitting your protein and fiber targets for health, so making sure that you're optimal health. And then finally, it allows you to have an overlook at your diet and see where you can improve. So for example, if you actually log what you've eaten in that day, you might realize, oh shit, actually I haven't eaten anywhere near as much healthy fats as I should be doing on a day-to-day basis. So it's just a really, really great way to obviously monitor what you are intaking, but not just from a calorie standpoint, from a health standpoint too, meaning your nutrients, your fiber, protein. So yeah, that is tracking. And then it's tracking your intake is not only the way to achieve results, it doesn't need to be a forever thing. I'm going to touch upon this at the end, but we don't want you to think that we expect you to track every single day for the next 5 years of your life.
Yeah.
Like regardless, it's not the be all and end all. But we want you to think about tracking as a tool. So it's a skill. Tracking your calories is actually a skill, and it's going to help you achieve results. Just like you'd keep an eye on your income, like your money income versus your money outcome, it's very similar to that. So that's where we kind of want you to think of it. So don't think of tracking calories as like a chore or the only thing to do. It's just, we want you to think of it as a tool in your toolkit. So yeah, that's that. I want to double check the microphone's on. It is, isn't it? Yeah. Just checking.
Thank God.
Right, do you want to go over the next point? So the next point is, how can you use tracking to get results? That's meant to say, one sec. To get results.
Yeah, so it allows you to monitor your calories in. So you'll know by now that to lose body fat, we need to be consuming less calories than what we are expending. So it's a great tool to know that you're on the right path instead of just shooting in the dark and going, because there's a lot of people that go, oh yeah, I probably have about this many calories a week, but chances are, like, I eat a pretty similar thing, but I think if someone who doesn't eat a pretty similar thing every day, if you just guessed your calories, you would be so far off it. And this isn't really going too much off topic, but the amount of people that say to me, God, I just can't believe, like, I'm eating so much food now compared to what I was doing before.
I get that.
And I actually follow this guy on Instagram who's actually quite good to look at. It's called The Fitness Chef, and he puts these things on all the time where it's basically like different foods side by side, and he'll put like 3 tablespoons of olive oil and then like a load of other food that's got less calories in it.
Punnet of strawberries.
Yeah, like a big punnet of strawberries. And that's exactly what it is, and stuff that you don't think about, like when you like frying a steak or something like that, and you just put like a little bit of oil in here and there, like they're the calories that add up, and they're the calories that are easily forgotten about as well. So just by using MyFitnessPal, it allows you to monitor how many calories are in. Like if you are putting everything through that app and you're putting it down correctly as well, you know, there's no way that you can really go too far wrong. Well, there is that, which we'll touch on in the video as well. But yeah, definitely see it as a tool to sort of help you, rather than a tool that you need to be fighting against.
Yeah, and I've used the example there. So if you're driving to a destination without a map, it's going to take you a hell of a lot longer to get to your destination versus if you were driving there with a very clear set plan
100%.
And a map, knowing exactly how much petrol you've got in the car and all the rest of it. So it's a little bit of a silly example, but it's kind of the same. Like
it is the same.
Yeah, you kind of, if you're not tracking your calories in, don't get me wrong, you can absolutely get results, but more than likely you will hit a bit of a plateau at some point. And
if someone said to me, drive to Birmingham now, I'll be like, right, straight away, get the maps out, put in the postcode, so put in your calories.
Make sure you've got enough petrol.
And get to the destination. That is exactly what it is.
Yeah, versus if you didn't have a clue when you were just winging it.
I'd be following like signs here and there, and I'd probably end up somewhere else.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Number 2, it allows flexibility. So meal guides work because you're sticking to the exact same calories daily. So that's why we also give you a base meal plan. But the same applies for tracking as well. It just gives you a little bit more freedom and flexibility within like your food choices. So say, for example, I don't know, like this week for me, I'll just give you a quick example that I went through. Usually at night, I have a sweet potato meal with a steak and some tender stem broccoli. I really, really enjoy that meal as well. And I didn't have any sweet potato in, and this is no biggie whatsoever. I had white potato in, but instead of going, oh no, I ain't got my sweet potato off, I'll just have a pizza or something like that. It's the calories are slightly different in sweet potato and white potato, so I just worked out the differences through MyFitnessPal, and it's just really easy to use. I kept on track, but it's not like, oh no, I haven't got my this in for meal 5. Like, oh, do I have to go to the shop, or do you know what? No, just pass me a bag of crisps or something like that.
So it gives you the knowledge as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
To allow you to be flexible.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then 3.
Number 3 is eat out and make it work. So tracking calories allows you to eat out and still nail your fat loss phase. You're able to estimate a few things, and also bank some calories for your meal out as well.
I actually don't go too much into this today because we've got a full workshop on how to eat out and lose body fat, because honestly, we could talk for a long time about that topic alone.
Yeah, so Marina, if you're watching this video back, this will 100% help you as well. But the other one, eating out and alcohol, I know you don't drink, but eating out regardless, that video will help you quite a bit.
I just go through, I think it's like 6 steps that you kind of need to really focus on when eating out and losing fat. But at the end of the day, tracking gives you that flexibility to allow it to work.
And the thing is, when it comes to eating out at a restaurant, like, you can never be 100% bang on what you get. But knowing that you're tracking, if you are in a fat loss phase, it will help you make a lot better decisions. What we don't expect you to do is sit out at a restaurant and go, right, yeah, just 1 sec, I'm just doing all this. Like, that's not what we expect you to do at all. Everyone takes pictures of their food now, I would say. A lot of people do.
Yeah.
Even if you can't remember it, snap a quick picture of it and just sort it out later when you get home, and just have a good estimation of what you are having. That's all we're sort of asking you to do.
Yeah, and it's never going to be 100%, but just by estimating, you're being aware, you're being mindful, you're practicing the whole, and you are going to sort of get more of a feel for it versus if you were to just ignore it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're the 3 pointers how tracking can actually help you get results.
There is so much in that, what we just talked about there, that we could go in depth with, such as like banking calories and stuff like that. But we're gonna try to stay pretty straight to the point here. And if we do need to touch on banking calories, I'm pretty sure that would be a good live for us to touch on as well.
Yeah, we could do a shorter version of that, couldn't we? Things like
for sure.
that. So next up is setting up MyFitnessPal. So I'm sure you've all already set up your MyFitnessPal, but I just want to go through it just to make sure that in the future, you know exactly what you're doing. And if you have done this wrong or you're not 100% sure, just clearing it up. So what you want to do is, once you've downloaded your MyFitnessPal app and you've inputted all your personal information, like your weight and height and all the rest of it, it's more than likely going to wham you 1,200 calories. That's what it does. If you've chosen fat loss, that's usually what it does.
Yeah.
So you're going to want to input what we've given you into the app. So what you're going to do is you're going to go on to more. I do have a video here, but I think it's sort of already started to speed through it. So you're going to go on to more, which is just at the bottom right. You can't see it, it's just behind
bottom right
there.
Corner, yeah.
So you're going to press on that, and then you're going to go on to goals, which is here. You're then going to go to calorie, carb, protein, and fat goals, which is there. And then what you want to do is, because if you don't have the premium, then you're going to have to just mess around with the percentages a little bit until you get the correct calories. So we've given you a protein target. So just make sure, first of all, that's on point. And then the next up, you can then get your carbs and protein, fats, just so that basically your calories are within the range that we've set you.
Yeah.
I've put here, we're not bothered about your carb and fats breakdown unless you've been specified, unless we've like given you a carb and fat breakdown. And also, we just don't want you to go any lower than 35 grams of fat, more than likely, unless you've been prescribed that.
Yeah. So literally, in a lot of cases, we're giving you a protein goal and a calorie goal. So as long as the calories say exactly what we're giving you and the protein does, we're all good.
Yeah.
But obviously, just have a look at your fat and just don't go under 35 grams either.
Yeah. Yeah.
But chances are it won't be set to that anyway. So.
Yeah, so there's just a video of me doing it, messing around with it. I think if you do have premium, then you can you manually input it as in the actual numbers?
Yes, I think you can.
I feel like this is just because I don't have premium. So yeah, there you go. That's how you change it, and then it's set up. So if it ever resets itself or whatever, just make sure that's what you are doing. And then next up, what am I doing here?
Adding food in? Oh no, going into
no. So next up is turning off exercise burn calories. So this is actually a really common mistake.
Yes.
And
a big mistake.
Yeah, it's one that it's nobody's fault. Everyone falls for it. I think I did to begin with as well. So what it will do is it will automatically start knocking off your exercise calories. So for example, if you've done a workout and you've got a Fitbit on or something, and it says you've burnt 300 calories in that workout, what MyFitnessPal will do is add that on. So it will make you eat back an additional 300 calories. So yeah, we just don't want to be doing that. It's just,
I don't know why it does it. It's confusing as shit. It really does. It is stupid. But yeah, we just want to make sure that your steps are not connected to MyFitnessPal. Have you put that in this video as well?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and that you see at the top here where it says 0 connected, nothing wants to be connected to MyFitnessPal.
Yeah, so I think, again, I do show you how to do it. So you're going to go into the more again, and then this time apps and devices, so that it'll show this here. You just want to press on connected at the top and make sure nothing's connected. Yeah. And then you're going to go back to steps, which is down there, and just do not track steps. And then also just don't log your exercise in there. So don't ever add additional exercise. For example, if you've just done a 30-minute run, don't go into MyFitnessPal and add it, because it will then.
I actually had that so many times. One of my clients was like, I'm nailing my calories completely. And it was in a pretty big deficit. I'm thinking, something's really not right here. So I went through everything, literally everything. I'm thinking, what is going on here? And then I was like, let's just check your steps and your activity. And everything was connected. So it was just eating back the calories that it sort of burnt through working out. And what MyFitnessPal had given him back. And yeah, he was just maintaining his body weight.
It's really, I don't know why it does it anyway, because it's so inaccurate.
Yeah,
anyway.
It's so inaccurate.
So it just, knock it off, basically. Next up, the importance, this is a biggie, the importance of structure and planning. So logging as you go will result in just a massive fail. Meaning if you're just winging it throughout the day, for lunch, I've just had a sandwich. If you're sort of eating and then logging, you're going to be way off the mark.
Yeah, 100%.
So that's why I put base meals to the rescue. This is why we've created base meals, because we don't like the whole, you've got to follow this meal plan Monday to Sunday, because it's not the way we do things. It's not realistic. It's not long-term. It's not needed. But also we do like the whole structure side to base meals, and the preparation is just, if you're in a person who's in a really great routine and you've got work throughout the week, and like base meals are just going to be so much easier and just take so much of the faff around from it as well. So yes, we want you to create the structure with your base meals, but also allow yourself that 20% flexibility. So have the same breakfast, lunch and tea, say throughout the week, or mix it up a little bit, meaning, mix your carb sources up throughout the week, have potato instead of rice and things. And then if you do want to go out for a coffee with a friend, have a coffee, log the coffee. If you want to have a chocolate bar on an evening one night, and you do have room for that in your calories, go for it. That's like the 20% flexibility we're meaning, but we want that structure and all the goodness coming from your base meals. Honestly, it's just going to be so much easier if you do that. Yeah,
like when it comes down to the amount of people that I have checking in, and they're like, I've craved something sugary this week, and I've looked at the calories, and sometimes they're way underneath the calories. So if a Kit Kat fits your calories, have a Kit Kat. Do you know what I mean? This is absolutely fine to have, as long as you're sort of within your calories, you're nailing your protein and you're getting some good nutrients and fiber into your diet, then we are all sweet. If it fits your calories, it fits your calories. Kit Kats and chocolate are not bad. Like if they fit your calories, then obviously not a full huge bar of dairy milk, because that would take up quite a bit of your daily allowance there, and you wouldn't be hitting your protein or anything like that. But you know, a couple of squares of chocolate at night and a you know, Kit Kat is not going to harm you if it fits your calories. So
what we want you to do is, this is why we get you to plan your base meals out, so that we know that you know you've got structure to your week. You know what you're going to be doing. You know what you're going to be eating, because it's honestly, it makes your life so much easier. It really, really does. We have some, again, in-depth videos alone on base meals, workshop how to create your own base meals. And then there's a document as well, how to create your own base meal. So if you're still unsure, go dig into those and have a look at them. And at the end of the day, all it is sitting down and coming up with some really great, easy meals that you enjoy, that are going to work with your life that week, and that fit within your calorie range and things as well. So honestly, I cannot express how much easier it's going to make your life. So I put here, if you're not going to plan ahead, what you're eating that day or that week, even, it's like doing a jigsaw with your eyes closed. You're literally making it so much harder for yourself, and you're setting yourself up to fail. So if you know you're heading out for the day, prepare and structure ahead of time. So example, if you're used to having 400 calories for your breakfast, and then you save 500 calories for your lunch, and you plan out where you'll be getting something from. So for example, if you know you're going to Nando's for lunch, just try and plan, have a little bit of an idea ahead of time. Just always try and be that one step ahead of yourself, so that you can't give yourself excuses, basically. But I think this is just to highlight a massive problem when it comes to people tracking, is they will just wing it on the go. They'll think, because they're tracking what they're eating on the go, that's tracking the calories, but it's not. You need to be prepared and have that structure still. Otherwise, it's just not going to work.
Yeah, you need to have some sort of direction.
Yeah.
For sure.
Right, I just go through here how to actually add a meal. So this is, again, going to make your life so much easier. So once you've got your base meals created, so for example, if you're a person who has protein oats and berries for breakfast every day, or that's what you're going to have every day because it's easy, you enjoy it, you know, it's filling, it hits your calories, then instead of logging it separately every single day, create it, add it as a meal in your MyFitnessPal app, because then all you've got to do is add the meal and everything's logged for you, and it's so much easier and it's going to save you time. So the way you do this is you're going to you go on meals, so you're going to add food, I think, meals, create a meal, and then you're going to add your food items. So for example, 50 grams of oats, 20 grams of protein, 100 grams of berries, and then you're just going to press save. And as you can see here, that's what's in it. That's how many calories is in. You can check, all right, okay, I've got enough protein in there, a nice solid amount of carbohydrates. I'm within my calorie range, press save. And then as you can see, it's just down here. So when you go on my meals, all you're going to do is press that plus button.
So you could really, if you wanted to, and this is the thing, this is like, not a lot of people have 3 different breakfasts throughout the week. Like a lot of people just tend to eat around like the same thing. It might change a little bit. It might have a little bit of variance to it. Like instead of eating protein oats and berries, for example, I might have scrambled egg on a bagel thin or something like that.
Yeah, you usually have maybe 2 to 3 max.
Yeah. So just going over that quickly on how to do that again, you go into your food diary, you press add food, you go to my meals, and then you create the meal. Yeah. And then like Becky says, sort of like here, you've got your protein oats. So Tuesday morning, whatever, I know I'm having them. And then another day you might have the 3 ingredient pancakes, something like that.
So if you're on, I don't know, say if you're having 3 main meals a day at 400 calories, literally just sit down and come up with like 5 to 6 meals that are all around the 400 calorie mark, and hitting your protein. And then throughout the week, you can just cycle your way through those, and whatever you fancy in that day, have that. So instead of like having to add every single ingredient every single day, just things like this are just, again, going to make your life so much easier. Next up, add a batch cooked recipe. This is a bit more complicated. I won't go into too much depth about this one, but I'll keep it here just in case you want to screenshot it. and try it for yourself. I do also have a video on how to do it as well. There is 2 ways to do it. I feel like this potentially is the slightly more complicated way, but it's the more accurate way. So I'll go through this way. So if you're somebody who cooks in batches, meaning for your family, or you like to cook things like stews, bologneses, soups, and just like for ease, and you like to freeze them and, you know, have them throughout the week, this is how you can do it. So step 1, you're going to add food, go into my recipes and then create a recipe. Step number 2, you're going to name your dish and press 1 serving. So in the video that I've created, which if anyone wants me to send it you, I absolutely can do. I just haven't uploaded it on here because I just thought it was too complicated to watch. But basically, you'd go, it asks you how many servings you want. Just put 1, despite however many you're making. Say if you're making a big batch of bolognese and it's probably going to get you 8 servings, just still put 1. Then you're going to add in all your ingredients to that. You'll understand what I mean when you're on the app. Add all your ingredients, but just make sure you're adding them to the gram. So if it says cups or anything like that, change it to gram and put in how many grams, weigh it all out, put that in. Then what you're going to do is cook your bolognese sauce, you know, finish it off and weigh the total cooked amount of that food. And then at the end, before you press save on your recipe, you're going to put however many grams, where it says servings, you're gonna put however many grams it was. So for example, if it comes to up to 850 grams overall, put 850 grams, sorry, put 850 servings, which sounds really backwards, but yeah. And then before you hit save, yeah, that's what I've just put. And then when you serve it for yourself, what you're gonna do is you're gonna weigh it out and you'll put the portion size, however many grams it was. I'm not explaining this very well. It's really, really complicated. I've got a video of me talking through it, which is much easier. So if you're a person that makes a lot of batch things, let me know and I'll send it over to you. There is another way where you can just make, say, you can change it to like, say, 4 servings. And yeah, have a little play around with it and see what works for you. But like I said, if you want this video sending, just let me know. I'll send it you because it is a bit complicated. Yeah. But the most important thing is to know that just because you're cooking for your family or you're cooking batch things, it still is 100% possible and it doesn't need to be an impossible task. And yeah, if you are somebody that does a lot of bulk batch cooking, I highly recommend that you start practicing and getting used to this method, because again, I don't want you to be using it as an excuse that, you know, you cook for your family and things. Like, obviously so many people do. That shouldn't be a reason that you can't get after your goals. So yeah, sorry, that was very complicated. Jordan's like, what? What is going on?
I think if anyone needs that video though,
yeah, the video will make sense.
Then ask for it. You know, if you're cooking for your family, if you've got 2 kids at home, 3 kids or whatever, or you're just batch cooking for the week and you know that you're going to have spaghetti bolognese like every single day this week, but you can't be bothered making it on each individual day, and you want to batch cook it for the week, ask us for that video and we'll send it to you. I
just didn't upload it because it was just, I was doing a voiceover on it and it was just a bit too difficult to manage. But... So,
MyFitnessPal most common mistakes. Number 1, adding foods.
Scanning versus manually.
Yeah, versus manually. So sometimes a scan won't work and you'll have to sort of input the food manually. When this is the case, you can add quick add. What have you got here? Also check the scanned calories match the food package, as sometimes this isn't correct. So if you are sort of scanning something in, regardless if you're scanning it or you're putting it in manually, whatever, I always 100% double check what is actually going on when I'm putting something into MyFitnessPal. And it's just a case of quickly looking on the back of like so let's say, I don't know, let's just use a really, really easy example of this. Let's just say a bag of crisps, right? So barbecue pop chips, which are really good, by the way, pretty low in calorie. Get them from Aldi, get them from Sainsbury's. So you scan them in and it might come up on your phone. It might say 1 serving, but what is 1 serving? Is 1 serving the full bag? Is 1 serving half of the bag? So that's a case of just looking at the back of the bag and it says 1 serving equals 125 calories or something like that. and you make sure that on MyFitnessPal it says 1 serving, 125 calories. Add food, done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what I would suggest is turning it to grams if you can do, and weighing it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll find that once you've scanned a food item, it won't let you put grams in. So that's when I would then look at the back of the packet, and it'll always say how many calories everything is versus 100 grams. Basically, tracking calories is maths.
It's not, but it's easy. It's easy once you get into your own routine.
Yeah, yeah. But what the point that I was trying to make here is that once you scan an item, firstly, not that it won't always, the barcode won't always come up, so you may just have to add it in manually. Don't use that as an excuse. Think, okay, just add it. Look at the back of the pack and add it in manually.
Yeah.
And then the second thing is that you may want to, once you have scanned something in, just double check it's correct, because there's been a fair few times that I'll scan something and completely different ingredients and macros come up, and I'm like, what? That doesn't match. So just double check.
It doesn't happen too often, but it just depends on what you get. You got to think, a lot of people use MyFitnessPal, so things that are picked up in any of the shops tend to be in MyFitnessPal already. So yeah, you don't have to worry about that too much. It's just what we're asking you to do there is just when you have scanned something in, just double check it, and if you do need to input it manually, then also do that as well, just to make sure you're more precise with it.
Yeah. So number 2, stay accurate. Weigh your food despite what the pack says. So even though the pack states that, it was Sophie that made this point actually, which was really, really good, a good example. So you've got a loaf of sourdough bread, and it says on the pack 1 slice equals 180 calories. But obviously, if you've got a loaf of sourdough, you've got the small bits at the end, and then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
So the slice in the middle is literally like triple the size of the ones on the outside. So just make sure that despite what the pack says, you are actually still, if you're having things like that, going out your way to then measure it, because every single slice of that bread is going to weigh completely different, and it's going to have completely different calories in. So just try and stay as accurate as you can with things like that.
It's not going to be too far off. Let's say you're near the middle of the bread, and then you have a slice like there. Obviously, that's going to be pretty similar calories. But what Becky's saying, when you first buy the sourdough, if you measure this bit and you don't change the calories compared to the middle bit, that's when you're going to see a big sort of difference in calories.
It is big. Like I had a slice this morning, one of the small slices, it was 45 grams.
Yeah.
And I know the ones in the middle are like 75, 80 grams. Almost double.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's kind of common sense, but also you don't really think about it sometimes if it's just on the pack and it says 180 calories. So yeah, just basically I would always go out your way to measure things. I know people think it sounds obsessive, but it really isn't. It's just, you want to be accurate.
It's not obsessive at all. If your boss paid you in cash, you'd count the cash to make sure you're being paid right.
Yeah. Yeah, good example.
So just it's the same thing. We just wanted to know what our income is of calories, and the more accurate we can be, the better.
You take this one.
Right, so this is quite a big one. Cooked weight versus raw weight. Like, what do we do? Do we measure it cooked? Do we measure it raw? Like, what's going on? What I would say is the more consistent you can be with either one of those, the better. So if you're weighing it raw, stick to weighing it raw. If you're weighing it cooked, stick to weighing it cooked. But the most accurate way, I find, is weighing everything completely raw. What you've got to think, right, is let's say you've got a raw sweet potato and I weigh it, yeah, and then I go to another shop somewhere and buy the sweet potato and I weigh it. Chances are, if I've weighed 300 grams of raw sweet potato and I've weighed this other 300 grams of whatever, it's 300 grams of raw sweet potato. Okay, right. If I cook this sweet potato now, and I only cook it for 30 minutes, yeah, so it's still pretty heavy, and I weigh it, then whatever it might be, let's just say, in fact, forget the raw stuff, but let's say I've cooked the sweet potato and I weigh it, and it comes out at like 200 grams or something like that. But then let's say the next day I then cook some more sweet potato, but I've left it in for 45 minutes this time, so it's cooked for even more, which means it's holding a lot less water in and stuff like that. It's going to weigh completely different. So whatever, regardless of what it is, raw sweet potato is always going to be raw sweet potato. But if I've cooked it, have I cooked it for half an hour? Has it still got some weight in it? Have I nearly burnt it, but thinking, yeah, I'll still eat it? Do you know what I mean? And it's the same thing. A good way you can think about it is rice. Rice raw weight is always going to be rice raw weight.
And the reason is, I think you should explain, it's because it's all due to water.
Yeah.
So if you cook some rice, it's going to absorb all of the water. Same with pasta. Obviously, it absorbs water. But then when you cook things like chicken breasts and meats, it loses water. So it's all to do with like the water content and things. It's messing around with it.
Steak, for example. I have my steak pretty rare. Yeah. But Becky doesn't really eat beef. But for someone that would, if they had theirs more well done, chances are they'd have more steak than what I would, because mine's still pretty rare. Do you see what I mean? That's the difference.
I really want to point out that it's just not like, I don't weigh things raw like you do, because it's just not convenient for me. So I will do what I can do, but what I just want to really point out is that if it's not convenient for you, meaning if you want to batch cook some chicken and keep it in the fridge because that is going to be the most convenient thing, so you don't have to constantly cook chicken every single day, then 100% do that option. But just what you want to make sure is when you are logging it into MyFitnessPal, write cooked chicken.
Yeah.
Don't put raw chicken, uncooked chicken, or even just chicken. Make sure you put in cooked chicken. Same with pasta. If you've already pre-cooked your pasta, or you've already like cooked your rice or something, put cooked rice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But either way, just be consistent in what you're doing with that. For me, my sweet potato and all my carbohydrates are weighed out raw, purely because I don't like cooking sweet potato, leaving it in the fridge and then having to eat it up. Like, I'd rather just eat it a little bit more fresh. But
it's easier for us though, because we eat separately too, meaning if we were to cook a meal together, I feel like then would potentially be weighing things cooked even more.
Yeah.
So if you are somebody that cooks, again, for a family, weighing cooked is going to be more convenient more often than not.
But yeah, for like my protein and stuff like that, my chicken, I do it off a cooked weight, because I think whenever I've got a chance to cook a little bit of chicken, I just cook a bit of chicken and do it off cooked. But then my steak, like I say, I have my steak from a raw weight as well. So
yeah, basically, whatever you're having, log it as that.
Yeah, just make sure it's logged as that.
And like John said, just try and stay with whatever method you choose. Meaning, if you're having chicken every day, make sure that you are weighing it the same, either cooked or raw, every day, if you possibly can do, just because then it's just going to take away less variety, take away the variables.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest, even I still get a bit confused about the whole cooked first weight thing sometimes.
If you haven't cooked sweet potato and you've got a raw sweet potato, type into MyFitnessPal raw sweet potato.
Yeah, that's the most important thing. I forgot to change this one. This is number 5. Turning off exercise calories, we've already mentioned. So this was obviously one of the big mistakes. We don't want to be eating back calories burned in a fat loss phase. And also this is really inaccurate. So turn this off.
Did you say number 5 then?
Yeah.
Oh, it's number 4.
Yeah, I forgot to change it. I think we're like a step ahead.
Right.
I think this is number 6. Maybe it's not. Right, 6 or 5. I've lost count. Track everything. So again, this might sound excessive to some people, but it's so important to do this, especially if, number 1, you're in a fat loss phase, or number 2, if you are completely new to tracking and you're a bit of a beginner. You need to be tracking everything that crosses your lips. So things such as milk and tea, sugar, sauces, juices, drinks, it all adds up, not just across the day, but across the week. So as you can see there to the left, I've just put 2 tablespoons, so it's like 30 grams of ketchup, 100 grams of milk, semi-skim milk, which you maybe have throughout the day in drops of in tea and things, and then a glass of, well, it's actually a small glass of orange juice. Overall, that's 150 calories. It doesn't sound a great deal, but across the week, you're looking at a quarter of a pound, I think. You're looking at 700, 800, 900?
1,050 calories.
Yeah, 1,050 calories. So just remember there's 3,500 calories in 1 pound of body fat. So you're almost half a pound. I'm not saying that's going to make you gain like weight as such, eating that, but it's just going to really slow down your fat loss and your deficit if you are in a fat loss phase and you're not tracking things like that. So be aware. Even mouthfuls, actually, I should have mentioned the mouthfuls. So like, I'm a bit of a sucker for this. If I'm in the, like,
he's so bad at this.
If I'm cooking, I'm like, oh yeah, eat this, you know, as you go along. Like, if I'm in a fat loss phase, I've got to be super conscious and aware of not doing that. Or sometimes, in fact, when I have been in a fat loss phase, what I'll do is I'll weigh out something, put it at the side so that I am still eating something when I'm doing it. But I've logged it already. It's fine. It's in my calories for the day. So,
but just remember, guys, like, again, we're coming back to, like, tracking is a tool. It's there to help you out. Instead of just sticking to a rigid plan of meal 1 to 6, this gives you the freedom and flexibility. But all we're saying is that if you are in a fat loss phase, you do need to be aware of what you are eating, because a squirt of ketchup here and there, a bit of tea in your milk here and there, a coffee with your mate with a bit of whatever on it.
Yeah.
These are all things that are definitely going to add up. So if you get to the end of the week and go, well, my steps have been good, I've got my gym sessions in, but and my calories have been good, but I mean, I suppose I've had a couple of these, like a couple of things here and there are definitely going to add up. So what we're saying, that if you are in a fat loss phase, just be accountable for everything that you have.
Yeah, and like I keep saying, it does sound excessive, but we're saying this out like because we want you to get the best results and because we care. Because at the end of the day, we know how frustrating it is to get to the end of the week, knowing, sort of thinking to yourself, I've ticked all the boxes. Why am I not seeing the results that I should do as quickly as I should do? And honestly, more often than not, it actually does come down to things, all of these things,
these little things,
100%. Especially this one is probably one of the biggest ones, all the little extras.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter as well. Like, when people go, well, yeah, I've done that, but I've eaten healthy. I've had like some strawberries and some fruit on the other days, and I'm like, all right, have you put it into MyFitnessPal? Oh no, I haven't logged it. Like, it doesn't matter if it's a banana or if it's fruit or if it's quote unquote healthy. At the end of the day, it's still calories. Like, it still needs to be logged. Like, and that's what fat loss comes down to. It comes down to calories in versus calories out. So we want to know the calories that you are taking in so we can sort of help you along this fat loss journey.
So just to touch upon this, like I mentioned, we're not going to go into deep about this because we could talk a long time about this topic, and we definitely will do. Maybe we'll do this one within the next few weeks. So let us know if you'd like that and if it would be helpful. But, and like I said, we've already got a very in-depth workshop on this, and I actually go through these points here. I just thought I would, whilst we're on the topic, go over it. So we want you to go watch the Eat Out and Lose Fat workshop for more of it. But just to go over it, number one, this is the way that you're going to get fat loss results still, by eating out. So number one, smash the week. So if you're being consistent 99% of the time, then that's going to be, that one meal out really shouldn't be touching the sides too much, unless you are classing that meal out as a, I hate to say it, cheat meal.
Yeah.
And going like, you know, if someone's like, oh, I'm going for a cheat meal, and they go absolutely nuts and they're having pizza, chips, takeaways, 5 desserts, 12 Krispy Kremes, all the rest of it, that will 100% mess up with your week. But what I'm just saying is, if for the rest of the time you're ticking all of the boxes and it's just like a decent meal out, more often than not, it's not going to do too much damage.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah. Number two, you mentioned this one, reduce calories.
Yeah, reduce your calories through the day. So obviously protein is important to have. So let's say, I'll give you a really easy example of this. Let's say it's Saturday, you're going for a meal at night or something like that. Then what you're going to do is your meals throughout the day, reduce your carbs and fats, keep your protein pretty high. So let's say again, going back to the scrambled egg on bagel thin, right? To be fair, you'd probably get away with doing that anyway. But
yeah,
let's say you want to take the carbs out of that meal. You might have scrambled eggs, or like an omelette, for example.
Yeah,
throw tomatoes, spinach, some peppers in there. So it actually feels like you're eating a bit more of a meal than just scrambled eggs. So you make yourself a nice omelette, leave the bagel out of it, and you've just banked yourself for the night X amount of calories. For your lunch, for example, I don't know, let's say you have
Chicken and rice.
Chicken and rice, or like a chicken wrap.
Yeah.
Make a nice chicken salad out of it. Just knowing that, you know, you're looking forward to this meal later on. The more that you can do, you know, you're still hitting your protein. So you're still hitting your protein for the day. You're saving your calories from carbohydrates and fats that you will most likely eat in your meal at night.
I just want to reinforce on that though, how important it is, how I would not recommend starving yourself throughout the day. Don't quote unquote fast or not eat, because that's one of the worst things that you can do, because you're going to go into that meal then absolutely starving, mentally telling yourself, well, you're not eating all day, so you can eat whatever, you can have everything.
Yeah.
And let me tell you how easy it is to go out and eat 3,000 calories in one meal like that. Like, it would be so easy.
Yeah.
So
you sit down and you're like, what are you having to eat? I'm like, pizza, steak, chips, like everything.
Which, yeah, so definitely, like Jordan mentioned, definitely keep those meals there. Just make them a little bit smaller if you can do, and take away your snacks perhaps.
And this also comes into the next thing as well, like plan ahead and choose wisely is pretty much more or less the same thing here. But what you want to do is have a look at the menu the day before you go, or something like that, or whatever, a couple of hours before you go, or the start of the day, and look through the menu and look at the choice that you could make.
And ask us as well, like reach out to us. I've got quite a few girls that do that. Send me the menu.
Yeah. And you can make a good decision sort of in what you're having. And then even through there, you might not have to bank as many calories throughout the day. It's still good to, because obviously you can only guesstimate what the amount of calories are in that meal. But let's say, I don't know, let's say you're going out and having a pizza or something like that, which isn't ideal in a fat loss phase, but you can definitely still make it work. Then I'd definitely do what I said earlier by taking your carbohydrates and your fats out of some of your meals and just making sure you're hitting your protein, because then you are doing your best that you can to bank calories for that pizza. But let's say there's like a chicken option on there, or there's like, I don't know, a fish option on there, something like that. That's what you sort of might want to go for, because it'll tend to be a little bit better on the calories rather than just like, just like fried stuff. Yeah,
and one thing I do say to a lot of my girls is, if they are, as long as they're not eating out all the time, maybe it's like an occasion or an event or something, and they do really want, say, the pizza, then what we'll do is we'll just bring their calories up to maintenance for that day. So instead of going for like 1,500 calories, which can be, you can't really have a pizza on that unless you get one of the Sainsbury's pizzas for 500, then we'd be like, right, okay, well, let's bring your calories up to maintenance calories for the day, like 2,000, 2,200, around there. Gives you a little bit more wriggle room. It makes you feel better mentally knowing that you're still within your maintenance calories. It's just like pushing the pause button for that day of your fat loss.
If you've tried to bank some calories throughout the day, so you've done what I said by eating like the servings of protein instead of carbohydrates and fat, but you know that you're gonna smash Domino's dough balls, stuffed crust pizza, extra large, with some wedges and some cookies after. Of course,
not gonna work.
It's not gonna work. It's all about making the right decisions in what you're doing.
Yeah, but on this eating out and tracking as well, I just want to reinforce that we are coming from a place right now of fat loss. So if you're in a training phase and you've got a little bit more calories to work with, please do. We don't want you stressing crazily about eating out and things like that. Enjoy it. Like, as long as you're not eating out 6 days a week, like 2 meals, and just going for it. What we don't want to be doing in the training phase is putting fat on. That you're gonna have to jeopardize a little bit here and there, but we don't want to get fat, because then you're just gonna have to lose it again if you wanted to. So it's just a case of still making them good decisions, but don't put too much pressure on yourself. Yeah, because also we want you to live life and go out for meals and enjoy yourself, and don't have that massive guilt and stress and things. But if you are right now, if the goal is fat loss phase, if you're in a fat loss phase, then that's when we want you to be really following these steps. And then finally, me and Jordan we were talking about this, estimate. So when you're tracking and eyeballing your meal when you're eating out, it is never ever going to be 100%. You don't know what they've cooked it in, you don't know how much oil they've cooked it in, you don't know what sauce is in the sauce, things like that. But I think just by playing around, taking a picture, being like, right, okay, I think this might be in there, and just logging it into MyFitnessPal regardless it's such a great way of practicing and learning what's in what foods. And yeah, sometimes it's better than not at all. So don't be afraid to, because people like, I've not a clue what's in this food. Well, literally just estimate, have a go, because you're not going to be right, but you also may not be too far off wrong. So
let's say you go out for brunch, right? And you have a slice of sourdough, and you go, right, I know that I need to get my protein from somewhere. So you have 2 poached eggs and you have some avocado as well. It's like the classic brunch thing, right?
It's a good brunch.
Type in sourdough into MyFitnessPal, click on it. And what I'd do is, maybe if you are in a fat loss phase, it wouldn't be a bad shout to maybe just overestimate these things by a little bit as well. So if you're not too good with weights, I'd probably say a slice of sourdough is maybe, I don't know, 60 to 80 grams for a decent slice of sourdough.
Yeah, that's the average slice.
Yeah, 2 poached eggs. So you just 2 poached eggs are 2 poached eggs. Really, they don't make it with any butter. It's just water and vinegar in it, so it's nothing. So 2 poached eggs. Avocado. So you just type in avocado. I'd probably overestimate that at maybe like 100 grams, something like that, 80 to 100 grams.
Especially because sometimes they do mix things in with the avocado, don't they? Like a bit cream cheese or something.
Yeah, and then at a lot of places as well, they tend to butter your sourdough for you. So it's absolutely fine if you want some butter on it. Obviously, if you've got smashed avocado on it, this is the thing, you probably can't really taste that butter. So what I would say is, don't butter my bread. Can you just put the butter on the side? And if I do want a little bit, at least it's there for me to go at a little bit. So I could put in, I don't know, Lurpak butter, 15 grams to overestimate again.
Yeah. That is, I'd say that's why we always recommend that meal and going out for lunch, because it's super easy to track.
Yes.
Whereas if you're going to an Italian and you're having a pasta dish, that's when you're going to be like, right, this is difficult. But still, just have a play. Like, just have a play around with it.
You'll be smelling it. It's got hints of basil in it with a little bit of butter, and I think the chefs use 15 grams of oil. Like, it's just not gonna, but it is good to have like a little bit of I guess
you can still play around with it, like, there's no harm in it. So, or
another thing that you can do, instead of trying to guess what's in it, so instead of going, right, I think tomato sauce in it, I think pasta's in it, I think this is in it, on MyFitnessPal you can literally go on add food, quick add, and you can just have a guess of the calories that are in it. So when you're in Nando's, for example, if you're there and you don't want to be putting in whatever, tender stem broccoli, 5 chicken wings and all this, it says on the Nando's menu next to it how many calories are in it. So let's just say you had 5 chicken wings from Nando's with chips and some tender stem broccoli. What I'd do is quick add chips and just write in the calories that are there. That's all you have to do, because it will then take your calories off the rest of your day, instead of trying to farce around with it for too long.
Yeah. So I think we definitely need to do another little, maybe a shorter live on that.
Yeah.
On eating out, because it is a very popular one. But like I said, go watch the workshop that we've done previously. And if you do have any more questions, let us know, just so that we can answer it in the future.
Yeah.
The last slide was basically just something that I want to reinforce. So I just want to reinforce how, I know I've mentioned it at the beginning, but how tracking is just a tool. It's not the be all and end all to your results. So I got a question actually yesterday, which I think I'd quite like to just dig into before we finish, which is like, if you were to eat, say, 1,400 calories, that's your deficit, of junk food, of just pure rubbish, would you still lose weight? Would you still lose fat? The answer is yes, but you are going to feel like shit, and more likely you will look like shit as well. And that deficit is really not good. You're not going to be able to stay in it for a long period of time, because the quality of food honestly makes the biggest difference to your life. If you're eating 1,400 calories of McDonald's and chocolate every day, like, let me tell you, you're gonna get a very, very small volume of food, versus if you were to eat, like, your chicken, rice, whole foods, fruit, veggies, that's going to fill you up and keep you going. So although, like, yes, scientifically you could still lose fat, let me tell you, you're not going to be able to stay in that deficit long term.
Yeah.
Because you're just going to feel sluggish, horrible, your digestion will be off, your energy will be off, and your mood will be off as well. So
it's like with your calories, like, you could 1,800 calories, let's say you're on, you could easily go to McDonald's and get something within your calories. You're probably going to find it a little bit hard to hit your protein, but you definitely could fit it in your calories. But imagine that after a week, like, you are just going to feel horrendous. So food quality 100% matters from the nutrients that you are getting from your food as well. But tracking calories helps that little bit of flexibility as well.
Yeah, but I just wanted to reinforce how important quality of food is. Like, we don't want you just eating, filling your calories with just junk food.
Yeah.
Just like, I think tracking calories sometimes has that, especially on Instagram when you're scrolling down and everyone's like, what I eat in a day? And it's just like,
yeah, it's just
all these
shit.
processed foods. It's like, well, yeah, but what's your digestion like on that? What's your energy levels like? And at the end of the day, all your results are going to come from how you're feeling on a day-to-day basis, what your stress is like, and what your lifestyle's like. Once you've got those nailed, fat loss is going to be pretty easy. So yeah.
Instagram's is the worst place for that. Like, like, who isn't like an influencer these days? You know what I mean? Like, you click on someone's thing and it's like, oh, what I eat in a day, and I'm like, you must feel horrendous. Like, you must not feel good. There's no nutrients in what you're eating whatsoever. And then don't get me wrong, there's some other ones that are really helpful and good. I know Kelsey shared something the other day actually about what she eats in a day, and it's good because Kelsey is tracking calories. She's flexible within what she eats. She hits her protein. She nails her calories.
But she also eats great food as well.
Yeah, but she also eats great foods
and she trains hard.
Yeah, that are providing her body with some nutrients. It's not just stuff that is like dressed up to, we'll eat this and it's only this amount of calories. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In fact, I put a meal on my Instagram last night and it was, I got quite a lot of messages about it. It was just air fried potatoes, steak and tender stem broccoli with some gravy over it as well. And the thing is, yeah, it's just mint. I've hit my protein. I've got some nutrients in there as well. You know, 100 grams of tender stem broccoli is quite a good serving of greens as well.
But yeah.
So yeah.
Just wanted to reinforce how lifestyle and food quality is everything. Like, you know, you could be on point with tracking, but if you're not eating the right things and ticking all the other boxes,
yeah,
you're not going to get the results.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, let's finish this off.
Go on.
Oh,
wait, you built it up to be something massive. So guys, I hope you have enjoyed this live video. I hope it's helped. I know it's been a pretty long one.
It has.
But it's pretty much everything you need to know about MyFitnessPal. And if you have any questions or queries on anything to do with tracking your calories, just anything in general, then ask your coaches. This is what we're here for.
Yeah. Sending you lots of love, and we will speak to you soon.
See you guys.